Well, hello, and welcome to the PGH Writing Command Center for another podcast episode from God Bless the Keg Publishing, LLC. And I am John Hausleben of God Bless the Keg Publishing, LLC. I am the flagship author, chief photographer, music reviewer, music critic, chief cook, bottle washer, kind of do-everything guy here at God Bless the Keg Publishing, LLC. With a little help from my friends. And the friends are gathered here on this glorious Saturday afternoon. It is a rainy, cold, nasty day here in Central Virginia. And that is still glorious because it's been dry and we really need the rain. So we're very happy that we're getting some rain. And just last week, it was 90-some degrees. But that's the way it goes, folks. It's a changeable spring. But we're thrilled you're here to join us for this podcast episode. If you are a first-time tuner-inner, if that's even a word, then welcome. If you're a long-time listener, a subscriber to our podcast, well, then welcome back. And once more, we're just thrilled you're here to join us for this podcast episode. And the friends are gathered here today. They're very well behaved. They've been waiting for this podcast episode for a long time because I've been talking about this for a long time. And we're finally getting around to doing this episode. And I'll get more into that in a minute, but right for now, it's that blessed time when you need to get your little orphan Annie decoder pins out, because this podcast is proudly sponsored by Corporate Facilities Group Incorporated, the leader in technical consulting, facilities maintenance, facilities management, and operations, as well as property maintenance and management services throughout America. And now, CFG Incorporated is proud to announce a new department, a new initiative headed up by the amazing Mr. Steve McMillan. Let's give it up for old Steve Aruski. Steve's doing a great job there, and he's got great red hair, too. Steve brings as many years of experience as he manages pre-construction services. And, you know, I had some red hair when I was young, when I had hair. I'm not kidding you. I got it from my Aunt Alma. Anyway. Lydia, Steve, I might not pay for this one myself. Steve brings as many years of experience as he manages pre-construction services and estimating for residential development, residential renovations, and light commercial projects for CFG Incorporated. So, before you spend big bucks on a project, let old Steve Aruski check out the contractor scope and price to make sure your hard-earned money is going in exactly the right place. Check them out on the web at www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. That's www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. And many thanks to Lydia, Steve, and Liliana, Summer the doggy, Smokey the kitty cat at CFG Incorporated for sponsoring the podcast. We thank you very much. And congratulations to Liliana McMillan for making a roster on a soccer/football team down there in Georgia. I think in her age group, out of 160 players, she was selected number 2 in the first 26 to make the roster. She's quite the striker, like Chris Wood at Nottingham Forest. And congratulations to Liliana. Also graduated and moved on in grammar school, I think to grade 6, maybe? Anyway, I lose track of time. May 2026 is Military Appreciation Month, a special time for those in and out of the military. It is a time designated to honor and recognize the contributions, sacrifices, and service of the members of the armed forces, both past and present. Not only do we pause on Memorial Day, and Memorial Day is coming up, folks. I'm recording this on Memorial Day weekend. We will have a special Paulie, God Bless the Keg Publishing LLC podcast in honor of Memorial Day. As is our tradition, we try to do some special holiday podcasts, and Memorial Day is a special one. So not only do we pause on Memorial Day to remember the sacrifice and service of those who gave all, but the month of May also marks several other military anniversaries, and events including Military Spouse Appreciation Day. Let's hear it for the military spouses. How they keep the home front going. And also Armed Forces Day. So an organization near and dear to Paulie's heart, as well as God Bless Keg Publishing LLC, is the Wounded Warrior Project. And the Wounded Warrior Project is the nation's leading veteran service organization dedicated to improving the total well-being of post 9/11 wounded, ill, and injured veterans, service members, as well as their families. The Wounded Warrior Project's innovative programs and life-changing services strengthen mental, physical, emotional, and financial wellness while empowering warriors and their loved ones to thrive and also helping to prevent veteran suicide. Check them out on the web at www.woundedwarriorproject.org, www.woundedwarriorproject.org. And during the month of May in 2026, as we have done for a number of years, all the royalties, any proceeds from the sale of my book, my small little paperback, published by God Bless Keg Publishing LLC, Flying, with a bonus story, The Basket on the Wall, all the royalties proceeds for that sales of that book go to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a fantastic organization. And thank you so much if you've purchased a copy of that. We really appreciate the support. Awesome stuff. And the month of May is already waning. Wow. Father Time, undefeated. Coming up in June, if you have any events, any charities, any not-for-profit goodwill events, we'll get back on the regular schedule. Send them in, please, to godblessthekegpublishing@gmail.com. Be cognizant that this is for the most part, weekly podcast, so be cognizant of the dates and the times and such. And we'll get back to announcing them on the air. If you have any comments, suggestions, here's one. Recommendations for the rated series, both music or otherwise, send them into the same email address, godblessthekegpublishing@gmail.com. And we'll be glad to review them, check them out, as we did for this podcast, which is a suggestion from a listener for the rated series. And it is going to be a rated on the music, the best studio albums of Nicole Atkins. Nicole Atkins, singer-songwriter. Wow, I'm so excited to do this. And as I mentioned in the build-up, it took me a long time to do this. And thank you so much to listener DS. I only use initials here unless folks actually authorize me to release their names. And thank you so much for this suggestion of Nicole Atkins for the rated series. And this came on the heels of the rated that I did for A Fine Frenzy, Allison Sudol, which also came from a listener. And this one popped in shortly thereafter. And I was like, Nicole Atkins, never heard of her. And the listener suggested where I should start and kind of led me around. And it's amazing. Oh, I just love this whole process. Been talking about it with Jeff, the great musical wizard, also Frankie T, the musical encyclopedia, about the whole process of how we do the rated series. And we take this very seriously here. Very, very seriously. I know Jeff is going through trying to get his rated together, and Frankie T did too. And I think the magic is the 5-1. Although with Nicole Atkins, as it was with Allison Sudol / A Fine Frenzy, there aren't a lot of studio albums, so it becomes easier. But when you do a band like Yes or Jethro Tull or some of the bands that Jeff is looking at, as did Frankie T, and you have all this music to go through, this isn't like the rolling the Rolling Stones magazine, where they got the 1,000 greatest records of all time. Anyway, when you restrict it to the 5-to-1, it makes the criteria very difficult. But so we've narrowed this down, and it's been a wonderful process. It took me about, I'm going to say, 5 weeks on and off, and then this past week I had to work some extra shifts at my primary source of income, so I was able to, in the downtime there, really finish up my notes. And I took extensive notes. I went through every piece of music by this young artist and dissected it the best I could and came up with my rated series. So we're very excited to do this. And once more, to the listener DS, Delta Sierra, we are sending you a God Bless the Keg Publishing LLC t-shirt, and also the famous QSL postcard for the podcast, and a God Bless the Keg Publishing LLC baseball cap. Thank you so much. It's just awesome. I really appreciate it. What a great suggestion. So in the last podcast, I had gone home to New Jersey, and we did a rated on the 5 best places to visit in New Jersey, according to Paulie. and I had come back on the heels of visiting dear mom and my sister and my whole family up there in wonderful Hamilton, New Jersey. And I came back, and dear mom, it's hard to do this stuff. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Everybody's a critic out there. And dear mom, she doesn't hear so well, and she's not doing real swift. So I appreciate any prayers and thoughts for dear mom. But she said, Paulie, I love when you tell the stories. I love when you tell the stories. That's the best. And she can't hear so good. The rated stuff, I don't know too much about that. And she wants me to do some Sinatra and Jackie Gleason, all the old time bands. And I guess I need to get to that. But she said, I love when you tell the stories. And so you try to appeal to everybody, but you're so I did tell stories as a prelude to the rated series. I went into New Jersey stories. I was back home. I was in my environment. I was in my native land, and I had some encounters that were typical Jersey, and it sparked some stories. And as Jeff, the musical wizard, pointed out, and he was correct, it took me 27 minutes and some change to finally get to the rated part of the podcast. I'm not going to do that this time, folks. The friends promise they keep me under wraps. So I'm not going to digress into stories, so we have Nicole Atkins. So let me get my extensive notes here, and I can rattle a lot of pages. I'm so used to doing podcasts without notes, but this one, I took so many copious notes on this because I had no idea who this young lady was, this young woman, singer-songwriter, before it was suggested to me. So Nicole Atkins, born on the 1st of October in 1978, Neptune, New Jersey. Now, I'm not going to say I'm not going to deny either, when I first learned that she was a Jersey gal, and I'm at 14 minutes and 47 seconds, Jeff, so I didn't, I got to it pretty quick. Born in Neptune, New Jersey, Neptune City on the Jersey Shore, over by the Shark River Inlet. And I'm not going to say or deny that when I heard she was a Jersey girl, it piqued my interest, because it did. Jersey girls are very, very special. And so Nicole Atkins, born 1978, so that makes her, I'm terrible at math, 48 years old. So she's classified as an adult alternative singer-songwriter, indie rock, and also bridges to contemporary singer-songwriter. And the first thing you notice on Nicole Atkins is her voice. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm going to classify her as an alto, New Jersey. I'm going to say she's an alto. And she has an amazing ability of control of the vibrato of her voice. And she's not an oversinger. She's not Brandy Carlisle. She's not, what's her name? Mariah Carey. She's not going to go into the Celine Dion thing where they have this great voice, but they just go crazy within one verse of a song. No, great control, great breathing, and a tremendous depth to her voice. So the listener DS suggested I started with a YouTube video made in 2007 on the David Letterman show. Remember David Letterman? Where she appeared and sang a cut from her debut CD, which is a long player. We'll get into that. And the cut she sang is The Way It Is. And that was the suggestion for me to tune up this, to get an intro to decide if I want to do the rated series. And I watched this video on a Saturday night, and I had gotten an email, I don't know, a week or so earlier, and I answered and said, yeah, I'm going to consider it. Let me get a time slot here. And Saturday night is my time where I pour a little scotch late at night and I check out new music. I was absolutely floored. So that's where I want listeners to start, by watching that video from 2007, the David Letterman show, of Nicole Atkins singing her song from her debut LP, Neptune City, The Way It Is. Holy guacamole. And right then and there, I knew that I was going to accept her for a rated series and do a deep dive into her music. Amazing performance, amazing song, amazing backing band, wonderful vocal performance, great stage presence. And you could tell even David Letterman was floored by the performance. And his band leader there, they had the in-house band. I can't remember the name of the fellow who used to book these artists, but obviously he had an eye for Nicole Atkins. And over the years, Letterman had a very good track record of putting artists on who were budding superstars. You can tell by Letterman's body language, and he comes over after the performance and he gives her a little hug. And I love Nicole Atkins' response. The band leader comments she's wearing these white high heels like shoes, and they're really attractive. And he says, gray shoes too. But she comes back and she's like, yeah. And she gives a classic New Jersey, yeah. And I was like, I like this gal. I really like this gal. So let's run through her discography here. And I mentioned Neptune City, which came out in 2007. And that is her debut LP, long player. She had a small EP called Bleeding Diamonds, which actually is her first recorded record. I found a copy of that. It's readily available. And listen to those tracks. And it is a prelude to how amazing this young lady's abilities are, and the great Neptune City, which followed. And we'll get to that. But Bleeding Diamonds is an EP, so I did not include it in this rated series because this is the best studio LP albums of Nicole Atkins. So then after that, we have Neptune City, and then we have Mondo. Here I go with the New Jersey. Mondo Amore. I'm sure I didn't say that right. And my Latin stinks, my Spanish stinks, my Italian is even worse, but I think that means love of the world or love in the world or something about that. Anyway, so that's released in 2011. Then we have Slow Phaser in 2014. Goodnight Rhonda Lee in 2017. Let's see, we have Italian Ice, which was recorded during COVID in 2020. And then we have Memphis Ice, only about a year later, still, I guess, during the COVID era, 2021. So those are the main discs we're going to feature here in the Rated series podcast. However, like I said to Jeff, the musical wizard, in our discussions early in the morning when we solve all the world's problems, and the other ones we can't solve, we just shelve to the next day. But I said to Jeff, with these independent indie artists, every time I think I have all their discs covered and their music covered, and I've done a deep dive and done extensive notes, I find something else. And I found some Christmas releases. I found some soundtracks, some songs she did, some collaborations. I found all these other things by Nicole Atkins, as I did with Alison Sudol. So she pops up all over the place. And she's an attractive woman. Of course, she's an attractive woman. She's a Jersey girl. And she's got that cool Jersey vibe. She's got that cool Jersey attitude. And I'm telling you, folks, I'm not going to give away the end result, but I just love this artist. I just love everything about her. I love her songwriting abilities. I love her stage presence. I love her vibe. And her voice is astounding, absolutely astounding. So now we're going to get into the actual rating and dissection of the records. And as we always do, we do 5-1, as I mentioned, with 5 being exceptional and number 1 being grandiose, grandioso, fantastic Gamora. Fantastic Aruski. There we go. The best of the best. And there is an on mention here, and I'm going to explain that because her recording career is quite varied, as is her music selection and her genres that she kind of floats between on her music. And I love that. It reminds me, people say, oh, Paulie, you wrote romance, you wrote military, you wrote Detective Odell investigating murders, and you got Harry and Paul, and you got all this stuff going on. Yeah, I just write what comes to mind. And I think Nicole Atkins is probably similar. She's probably getting some managerial advice too. But whatever comes to mind and whatever comes up, she writes a song, she sings it, she performs it, and I love that. She's not, how shall we say, put in a box or stereotypical by any means. But I will mention, as I go through her disc, what I feel her strong points are and her weak points too. So, as an on mention here, we have Italian Ice is the name of the CD. I love the EP, Bleeding Diamonds, but it's an EP, so I'm going to stick to my my criteria here. So, Italian Ice is recorded in 2020. It's a COVID album, and it was recorded at the iconic Muscle Shoals Studios in Alabama. Very famous soul type, mostly rhythm and soul and R&B type studio. And it features an amazing amount of artists who collaborated on this. And the reason it's an on mention is, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of this type of soul. And when I went through the rest of Nicole's discs and her songwriting and all the things that she's done, I felt that this record didn't suit her music and her vision. And she does have a lot of nostalgia, which I love, and a lot of throwback and a lot of retro going on, with the exception of one cut on this record. And but I didn't think that the whole rhythm section, the famous Muscle Shoals rhythm section, who, of course, are fabulous musicians. You have David Hood on bass. You have all they've supported Percy Sledge, Aretha Franklin, John Paul White from the Civil War, the Yvette Brothers, the Dap Kings, Bad Seeds. All these session collaborators jumped in on this record during COVID, and it gave you a very eclectic mixture. It's sort of country and some pop and soul from the 1960s. And while I certainly appreciate the whole Muscle Shoals vibe and the rhythm section and all that, it's this boot stomping soul, that's what I'm going to describe it, is not my favorite type of music, not my favorite genre. And while all the collaborators, there's nothing wrong with the production, all the session musicians are outstanding, the backing band, her voice is fabulous. I didn't think that this record, and that's why I put it as an on mention, best displayed the vocal abilities and the singer-songwriter talents of Nicole Atkins. And that was only after I went through all the music of hers, because at first I really enjoyed the record. I enjoyed all her records. I really did. But it was kind of hard for me to criticize a record coming from an iconic studio such as Muscle Shoals, but I did. And the outstanding cuts on here are AM Gold. It's a mid-tempo kind of a groove song, and it's got that nostalgic soul songs here. And she has co-writers on most of this music, and I don't know if they write a large part or she does it. It's hard to discern, but lyrics are good, everything's good. And then there's In the Splinters. It's like a power melody, but the outstanding cut on this record, which I'm going to put in the top 5 of Nicole Atkins, is These Old Roses. You know, throughout my career, I've always had favorite cuts and the songs are too short. And this one clocks in at like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And Bob Dylan, the great Bob Dylan, said about Gordon Lightfoot, because he was a great admirer of Gordon Lightfoot and coming up through the folky era and all that stuff. And Lightfoot was around forever. He always said, I wish a Gordon Lightfoot song would go on forever, go on longer. And I found that with a lot of great cuts. Jethro Tull has a number of great songs. What's the one? Small Cigar. And I wish it had another verse or two. And I wish These Old Roses had another verse. This is where Nicole Atkins is at her best. She's at her best when she does a blend of the 1950s crooner music, and when she does like 1960 psychedelia. And she comes from the Brill Building style of writing. That's the way she writes. And the Brill Building, you can look up. Famous singer-songwriters occupied this office building, the Brill Building in New York City, in Manhattan. I think it's Upper Manhattan, near Tin Pan Alley. And they wrote, all these singers, songwriters would gather in this building, and they had small collaborative spaces. And you can look this up. Maybe I need to do a whole podcast on this. And they would have a piano and a guitar, little small spaces, and they would write these pop songs for these record labels, and write them for the girl bands and teen idol bands and everything. And they would churn out this music. And you had Neil Diamond, Don Kirshner, Carole King with Goffin, and Roy Wood made an appearance, believe it or not, Roy Wood, right? And Burt Bacharach and Mort Schumann and Greenfield and Neil Sedaka, Tony Orlando. All these folks would show up at the Brill Building to write these poppy type songs, these quickie songs. And I think that's where Nicole Atkins is at her best. And she cites Harriet Wheeler of the Sundays. And I mentioned the Sundays in my Overlooked podcast from about a year or two ago. And the Sundays, that great record that they put out. And Harriet Wheeler, just an amazing vocalist. And Cass Elliot, too. I hear a lot of Cass Elliot, Mama Cass, in her voice. I really do. And in her delivery. And she cites Harriet Wheeler and Cass Elliot, and she loved the way, she's a huge Roy Orbison fan. Who's not a huge Roy Orbison fan? I mean, my gosh, let's give it up for Roy. And he always talked about Freddie Mercury, and of course, Freddie Mercury, a legendary male vocalist, 1-2 with Roy Orbison. I don't know. I mean, Roy Orbison's octave range, like Annie Haslam of Renaissance, 4 or 5 octaves. When you can range that high, what does it matter, right? Nicole Atkins loves the Roy Orbison style, crying, that short, kind of concise, not too much in a chorus, not too much in verses type of songwriting. And you can see it. And I believe that's where she's at her best. And that's why I put this Italian Ice and an on mention, because I don't think, other than a few cuts and the amazing These Old Roses song, I don't think the record really displays her talents, despite the amazing backing band. And so that's our on mention, is Italian Ice. Now, at number 5, we have Good Night Rhonda Lee. Now, Good Night Rhonda Lee, when I looked up her music and listened to this record, and I listened to this record about 5, maybe 6 times. I'm going to say between 5 and 6 times. And then just before I record this podcast, I listened to all of the records collectively in succession. And I still stuck to my selections. Now, Goodnight Rhonda Lee is generally selected by my fellow critics as her best record. The accolades for this record go on and on and on. Even Rolling Stone, which of course doesn't like anything except Beatles, I think they give a 1 to Dark Side of the Moon. But they would give a 5-star to Chubby Checker. I'm sorry. But even Rolling Stone rated the record very highly. One critic said it was the best record of the last decade. That's how good and how much they love the record. And it was recorded in 2017. A lot of my fellow critics said it was the best record of the year of 2017. And she was originally signed to Columbia and had some disputes, and she moved to an independent label, created her own label, and she moved off to a new label. And in 2017, she met up with Chris Isaak. And Chris Isaak told, and I can see the influence of Chris Isaak on this record, and he told her that she needs to write songs to display her vocals. And she paired with the Nyla City Sound in Fort Worth, Texas, and co-wrote a lot. I should say she co-wrote with one song, A Little Crazy, which is a highlight cut. She co-wrote with Chris Isaak for this record. And this is a record that I can see, and once more, it's got that honky-tonk stomping thing going on, which I'm not a huge fan of. There's some horns and strings, and she collaborated with Chris Isaak on a song, A Little Crazy, which is sort of kind of like a crooner song, and it's a highlight cut on the record. And she very, very honest. She's a Jersey girl. We tell it as it is, right? She was struggling to get sober here, and she had a lot of family things going on. And this is like a record where she assumes Rhonda Lee being an alter ego. And she's kind of saying goodbye to boyfriends. She's saying goodbye to the past on this record. So Rhonda Lee being Nicole Atkins. So she's saying goodbye to that life on here. And the songs are written that way. And she has this amazing low register, like a Peggy Lee on A Night. It's a standout cut, A Night of Serious Drinking. It sounds like a terrible title to a song, but it's a great song. And the backing band is very tight, and she sings her heart out on this. And while I appreciated the record, I'm not a total fan of all the cuts on here as opposed to these records that are coming up in the other slots. So Good Night Rhonda Lee, probably her most critically acclaimed record. And certainly there's nothing wrong with it. Like I said, the standout cut's A Little Crazy, A Night of Serious Drinking here. Wonderful record, but Paulie puts it at number. I put it here at number 5, and I'm a little ashamed about that. But I disagree with a lot of my fellow critics, right? Number 4 is Memphis Ice, recorded in 2021. Now, Memphis Ice is a parallel, exactly the same songs. There might be a bonus track to the Italian Ice, which I rated as an honorable mention. So we have Italian Ice as an on mention. We have Good Night Rhonda Lee at number 5. And at number 4, we have Memphis Ice. And this was recorded in Memphis at the Magnetic Recording Company. And basically it's acoustic stripped down versions of the songs that were on Italian Ice. But it didn't have all the huff and puff and the rhythm section and the Muscle Shoals and all that stuff going on. It's much better. I love this record. Yeah, great, a very limited band. David Chen is a pianist who she apparently worked with as a young artist. I guess they were friends. They worked together in Brooklyn and did nightclubs, and when she was on her way up and trying to get some traction. The guy's great. and he's got a good backing vocal on his vocals. Piano playing is exceptional. And she has Laura Epling. And I knew Laura Epling from another bunch of recordings. I'm like Jeff, the musical wizard. We read the liner notes. And when I read the liner notes and I was listening to this acoustic record, I was like, wow, this is a great record. And who's on violin? And I looked it up, and Laura Epling, and I looked at her website, and yes, she's appeared on a lot of records as a backing musician. And it has a cello. Maggie Chaffee plays the cello. And the best I can describe Memphis Ice, because it is the same songs pretty much on Italian Ice. This is like if you were, and I'm a huge fan of this, if you ever get a chance, check out the video for Roy Orbison when he made his comeback with the help of Jeff Lynne and a couple other artists who, George Harrison and the Wilburys and all that, when they pulled Roy, who was going through some tough times, and they pulled him out of the kind of the depths of despair and said, you know, Roy, you need to be back in the world. And they did the black and white night. It's a fantastic video. It's just fantastic. It was shot in black and white, and everybody dressed in black and white. It's got Springsteen on there, and Jackson Brown, and Roy Burton, James Burton on guitar, and all these artists come out to support the great Roy Orbison. And it's like the Smoky Cocktail Lounge. I think it was shot somewhere in Washington, D.C. I love that vibe. I love the Smoky Cocktail Lounge on a Saturday night with the Bobby Darin taking a sip of scotch and smoking a cigarette and then singing the song type thing. And this is the vibe I get from Memphis Ice. It's like you're with Nicole Atkins in the Smoky Cocktail Lounge with just the piano, the violin, and the cello, and a minimalistic approach to these songs that were rather rhythmy and full of horns and bombastic on Italian Ice. And the stripped down acoustic version of These Old Roses highlights the amazing vocal abilities of Nicole Atkins. Love this. This record is outstanding and far superior, in my opinion, to Italian Ice. Memphis Ice comes in at number 4. Number 3, we have Slow Phaser. And Slow Phaser is recorded in 2014. Has great cover art. Great cover art. It's a little weird. And I like weird because I'm weird. But I read where, when I was researching Nicole Atkins, I read where I guess music was always her primary love, but drawing and illustrations and art was another love of hers. And I guess she couldn't get traction in her music career, so she bumped out and decided to go to university. And she went to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte campus, and she studied illustrations. And her cover art is exceptional on a lot of her albums. And I wonder if she designed this. I have a feeling she had a huge influence on the cover art here. So Slow Phaser, and I'm going to get into her other selections, but when she originally recorded, she went to Sweden, and she went with a studio over there in Malmo, and she connected with a fellow named Tore Johansson. I guess he helped her with productions and kind of formulating her sound. And Slow Phaser has a lot of psychedelic music on it, and it has a lot of showcase. And I could see what Chris Isaak was saying, to go to songs that showcase your amazing vocal abilities. Slow Phaser is full of heavy bass lines, a lot of rhythm, some heavy drums, analog synth sounds. There's no digital synth here. It's all analog. And the catchy hooks that this woman can write and the fun songs and the vibes are outstanding. Fantastic songwriting here. And apparently Mr. Johansson helped her with some of that. But there's a cut called Cool People. It's exceptional. It's a highlight of this record. I love that song. I play it early in the morning. I find myself playing it early in the morning to set a mood for a day. It's got a cool little analog synth going on and some boops and beeps, and this record is fantastic. There's only one bomb. Otherwise, this would have been rated higher than number 3. And there's one bomb song. It's called Sin Song. And apparently Mr. Johansson helped her with this. And, I'm not a prude by any means, but with your abilities, Ms. Nicole Atkins, why would you put a cut like this on a fantastic record? And it's basically a silly song. It's a bunch of nonsense. But if you're religious, you're going to be really offended by it. And it's got some silly lyrics on that. And it's got a silly beat to it. And I get that it's a spoof song, but it didn't do it for me here. I would axe that out and put something from your EP on here if you needed a filler, because this song didn't cut it for me. I'm going to describe it in one word: yuck. Bad decision, but that's just my opinion. And I get it's a spoof song, but it's almost blasphemy and sacrilegious to me. I did not appreciate the song. So other than that, Slow Phaser, she highlights the sultry, smoking vocals. Oh, gosh. My goodness, I want to have a scotch and a cigar after I listen to her singing The Worst Hangover. This gal can sing a song. So a lot of fun here despite the Sin Song and the catchy hooks. Great record. So number 3 is Slow Phaser from 2014. Now we have number 2. We're getting there, folks. We are getting there. Woohoo! Yes, indeed. And number 2, I mentioned before, is Mondo Amore in New Jersey. It's recorded in 2011, mostly all penned by Atkins. Some limited co-writers on this one. And it's recorded at the Seaside Lounge in Brooklyn, New York. And she moved over to the new label. I'm going to tell you that this record, and this has great cover art too. I don't know who the old dude is with the tattoos on the cover. And Nicole, you look smoking hot in the background. Looks like a New Jersey type house that I'm very familiar with. The old guy rocks. This old guy rocks it. Love the photography. I don't know who set the shot, who the old guy is, and the whole setting. It's a fantastic photograph. I just congratulate you and the photographer on setting the scene as a fellow photographer. Wow. I would have just bought this record just for that cover shot. It's just that good. And Nicole, you look great there. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, it's recorded in Brooklyn in New York. This is more raw emotion on this record, and I think Nicole is probably gone through a breakup with a boyfriend, and it's a bad scene, bad vibe, and she just wrote this record with pure emotion. And I've written some stories like that. Your life influences a lot of when you're a creator, a lot of your art, a lot of your writing, a lot of your music, a lot of your vibe, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's got some power pop here. I'm going to say there's some power pop. You could almost say Nicole Atkins is going towards maybe Ann Wilson from Heart. I don't know. But there's some power pop here. And there's a song called The Tower, and it clocks in at 5 minutes and 51 seconds. And if that song had gone on 2 more minutes, I'd say you just wrote yourself and performed and recorded a progressive rock song. Great cut. The other one is War is Hell, and This Is for Love is another very, very, this is a rockin' album. This is a rockin' album, and as good as she is in the crooner stuff, don't like the soul and R&B as much, but man, wow. Nicole Rocks. This is like a retro rock song. This is for love, and there's a couple live recordings of This Is for Love with her backing band, which she said was her best backing band, and that's interesting because, she worked with the Muscle Shoals rhythm group, and she said the Black Seas were her best backing band. And there is a live performance I found on the big YouTube video of her doing This Is for Love with the Black Seas as her backing band. Whoo! Knock it out of the park. Great record. More rockin', more raw emotion, more power pop, more rock. Number 2, Monde Amore. And I guess I should make I think it's Mondo Amore. we can't say anything right in New Jersey. So, Nicole, I'm sorry, but you're from Jersey, too. You're just a little south of me. Mondo Amore. And number 1 is her debut LP, Neptune City, written about her home city there on the Jersey Shore. Neptune's a little rough. I'm going to be honest with you, folks. It's a little rough. It's a little bit of a rough city. I'm not saying it's Patterson, but it's a rough city. And it's along the Jersey Shore there in the upper part. And wow. So, I don't know where to start with Neptune City. Great cover art, which I believe Nicole probably designed these designs here. And she's writing this as a young artist. She had the Bleeding Diamonds. And the inside liner, I bought this record CD. It has some illustrations, which I suspect are hers. I have to read the liner notes a little more careful. Did not have the time to do that because I was concentrating on the music, not the art, but I will. And I don't know how else to describe this debut record as, I'm going to go to the extremes. This is probably the second best debut album that I've ever listened to by an artist. It's if I could give it 10 stars, I would give it 10 stars, but Paulie only ever goes to 5, so it's a 5-star. And every single cut on here is fantastic. I mentioned her appearance on David Letterman where she sang The Way It Is, and she's penned all these songs. There's 10 cuts on here, and The Way It Is unbelievable vocal performance. The title track, Neptune City, it just haunts me. I find myself listening to this cut over and over. And it might be the Jersey thing. It might be the simple guitar intro on it that continues throughout the whole record. Her melodies are outstanding. Her singing, her vocal, the backing band. And she went over to Sweden. This is recorded at that same studio I mentioned on the other one where she went back and recorded it, Slow Phaser. It's recorded at that same studio, and I guess she got introduced to some of these other ideas and producers, the Mr. Johansson and all that. Backing band, nothing wrong with it. Everything's great. There's no overproduction here. There's no noise. It's a fantastic record. And she wrote all the cuts except Love Surreal. She had a co-writer on. And like I said, I love Brooklyn's on Fire. Cut number 8. Brooklyn's on Fire. It's just a fun, happy song. And I can envision the summer she's talking about. And she's talking about being on the Jersey side and looking over to Brooklyn and the boroughs across the river and wondering what's happening over there on this summer night as opposed to what's happening on the Jersey side. And everything about this record screams New Jersey to me, and that might be part of why I love it so much. But her melodies, my old man always used to say he wants to listen to music that he's going to hum later on. And I guess that's a very, very simple review of something as glorious as music is. Do you hum it later on after you listen to it? I hum all these songs. Number 1, Maybe Tonight, the number 1 cut on here. Cut number 1, I should say, because I believe the number 1 cut is the title track, Neptune City, followed by The Way It Is. But cut number 1, Maybe Tonight, is such a banger of a song. It's a pop song. I don't know how this was not a number 1 hit. I don't know how people weren't falling over themselves over Nicole Atkins. And that makes me a little sad because I don't know what it takes when I go through this artist's magnificent career and the recordings she's done to be a superstar. She's attractive. She has a great backing band. She writes amazing music. Is it the timing? Is it the timing? Do you come out at the wrong time? Is it promotion? Is it the world, the man, the brother, big brother in the sky that's just against a indie artist? I don't know. She doesn't use auto-tune. There's no auto-tune. The only tune she uses is probably to tune up her car. This gal is raw emotion. The way you hear it is the way she sang it. And I don't know what it takes for an artist of this gifted an artist to be able to be a huge success. I just shake my head that I've never heard of Nicole Atkins before this listener suggested it. Especially, I'm ashamed as a Jersey guy, but I don't know why she's not, bigger than Mariah Carey, bigger than any artist. I just don't understand it when I listen to her music, and that's kind of makes me sad. I just don't know. As an independent artist myself, I've written some books that I'm kind of proud of, and we all write stuff that people don't like. But I'm not Charles Dickens by any means. But what does it take for a gifted person like Nicole Atkins to rise to the top? Because she certainly deserves it. And I really, really enjoyed going through her music, and I wish her nothing but success in the future. She has not recorded anything for a while. So, Nicole Atkins, as a fellow Jersey guy, thank you so much for your music, for your career, for your dedication. I'm going to follow you a little bit on the social media and chime in there. If you do listen to this podcast, come out with a new album. Go back to the Neptune City type or the Mondo Amore model and write some new songs. I want one more, or two more, three more, four more records on my collection from the great Nicole Atkins. So that's fantastic. Let me give a little roundup here. We have the EP Bleeding Diamonds, which we left off. We have On Mention Italian Ice, number 5, Good Night Rhonda Lee. I'm kind of sad about that everybody said it was their best, and I put it at number 5. I'm sorry. Number 4 is Memphis Ice. Number 3, Slow Phaser. Number 2, Mondo Amore. And number 1, the amazing, magnificent Neptune City. There we go. That's it. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we really appreciate the support. So, hey, please be kind, be gentle, be very tolerant. Remember, kindness is for free. Spread it around as much as you can. It can only make this world a better place. And I appreciate the support. Like I said, we have coming up on these podcasts, we have Cousin Jack. I'm going to check in with Cousin Jack in a little bit. He was traveling with some family stuff, as I was. He's going to do his conspiracy theories, his UFOs, all the stuff that Cousin Jack's been researching. I'm very excited to sit down with Cousin Jack. We have Jeff, the musical wizard, working on his podcast. And we have Frankie T. I'm hoping to get the great Jeff and the great Frankie T together. That would be an amazing time. So thank you very much for tuning in. And we will see you next time. After all, what do I really know? I'm just a guy from Paterson, New Jersey, and Nicole Atkins, she's a Jersey girl from Neptune City. Hey, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Thank you.